facial hair.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
It's aggressive without being excessive. You know, parts of it are very well groomed.
Oh, for sure.
And then he's got the ZZ Top action going down the chin.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
It's a good combo.
We got a ponder to start things off here in the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. Looks like both players have kept pretty large hands. Nelson looks he's on 6. You see a show and tell in his hand right now. Cucunato's going to keep with his ponder, it looks like, so he's happy. No turn 1 monster like we saw last time he was on camera.
By and large, I'm a fan of Reanimator against other combo decks. It has some great disruptive elements, of course, Thoughtseize and Force of Will, and it's just very fast.
Your thoughts on the card that was just cast?
Completely busted.
Yep, I had a feeling you may feel that way. Entomb, Exhume, Gristlebrand, along with Brainstorm, Force of Will, and a copy of Underground Sea is what Patrick Nelson sees with Cataxian Probe. That'll give him the information and know that he has to worry about a Force of Will as well as a very quick copy of Gristlebrand or potentially Iona here. So
yeah.
Riley Curran, yep, you can chuckle. He's playing Elves Against Death and Taxes, #1 seed. He's up a game already. Probably a turn 3 kill. Just not messing around. The thing about Death and Taxes is a lot of its matchups are one-sided in favor of the one person or the other. And this is definitely a matchup that is very, very bad for Death and Taxes and Nystrom. Curran just destroying him in game #1.
Not much to be done. Again, his anti-combo cards really aren't effective against Elves.
Yeah. You think of a card like Dahlia, non-creature spells. Well, that's all I have. So there's that.
He does have access to Aethersworn Candace in his sideboard. That's a real card against Elves.
It's a step in the right direction, that's for sure.
But the game 1 cards are not very much.
Yeah. Few and far between us. Here's a City of Traders for Patrick Nelson. This is Lotus Petal. Are we? Oh my! Hey, oh boy! He knows there's a Gristlebrand over there, and he does not care. This is why we covered this match.
And we know that Robert has Force of Will in his hand.
Yeah.
So your opponent sees that you have a Gristlebrand and a Force of Will. This is a very gutsy show and tell.
Probe you, see Gristlebrand.
Show and tell.
That's fine. All right, Force of Will back. All right, show and tell's going to get countered.
Yeah.
That was kind of, I think, I dare you to counter this attempt.
And with a hand as powerful as Robert's, it makes sense for him to take a conservative approach. Yes, he may win the game next turn with a Gristlebrand in play, but he's really under the gun to do so.
Force of Will does take care of the show and tell, obviously. There's a ponder here from Cucunato. Fresh draw step here. See if he can cobble together the ability to put a big creature into play. Nelson's deck list a little bit different. Nothing too crazy going on. The only real change here is 2 copies of Blightsteel Colossus to go along with 2 Emrakul's and 4 Gristlebrand. So oftentimes we see 4 Emrakul, 4 Gristlebrand, 4 Sneak Attack, 4 Show and Tell, some cantrips, some counter spells, move forward. But we got the old Colossus in there.
A surprising change. I'm not sure what would warrant that. When would you rather have Blightsteel Colossus?
Twitter, I'm sure you know. Let us know. I'm sure there's got to be a reason.
Some argument for general diversity because of, maybe like surgical extraction type effects. I don't know. I'm stretching here, but
yeah.
I feel like there's got to be some reason in mind here.
When is the first Colossus better than the first Emrakul? Cucunato going to play an Entomb right now. Wants to put something in the graveyard. What's it going to be? Looks like it's going to be a Tidespout Tower and a card that he's a very big fan of.
Yeah, I saw him do real work against a Sneak and Show list. Both games came down to Tidespout Tyrant. Opponent couldn't really function against it.
Nelson going to draw his card. Not sure if he has any other mana out there. If he does play a land, of course, he's going to lose that City of Traders.
Tidespout Tyrant is nice because even if your Sneak and Show opponent is able to go off, Tidespout Tyrant often covers you there. You just unsummon it or, bounce it before combat, whatever the case may be.
Trivia, you or me? Nelson. Looks like he's had enough.
He has the writings on the wall. He knows about the Exhume, and he's done.
Yeah, I mean, basically had a turn 1 show and tell hand that was easily beat via Force Will and Gristlebrand in hand, and he just simply said, I'm good here. Let's play another game.
That was a great Cataxian Probe. Cataxian Probe, see Gristlebrand, and still just go for it is awesome.
It's interesting because, I don't really think he had much else to do, and there's the off chance that Cucunato is just like, sure, that's fine if my Gristlebrand in play, and then Patrick puts his Emrakul or Blightsteel Colossus in play because he had each one in his hand, and then it ends up punishing him.
Well, his hand has one path. I mean, it's possible for Robert to put Gristlebrand into play and then fail to do anything of note the following turn, and then Emrakul can win the game. So it looks like a weird play on paper, but what else is he going to do?
You got to give the opponent the opportunity to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I think that's all that particularly was there. So we bring it back to the booth because it is trivia time. This guy's got the rules. I've got the first question for 3 months.
Cedric's going to ask you a question. You're going to tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses, one will be selected at random for 3 free months of Star City Games premium content. It is about accuracy and not speed, so do not worry about being the first one to submit an answer. Just submit an answer correctly. And please be aware that this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com. Twitch TV is in no way responsible for unaffiliated giveaways on its streams.
We'll take a look at actually the top 8 here. It's a little bit different this go around. Kind of like what I see. You don't see Reanimator that much. Sneak and Show kind of making an appearance here. For the first time, it seems like a little bit of a long time. Sneak and Show was dominating a lot last year, not so much now. However, Riley Curran, he won a game very, very quickly with Combo Elves. The question is, what did he defeat very fast in game number 1? He's playing against Per Nystrom, if you guys want to look up the brackets. What is Riley Curran against in the quarterfinals? If you can name that archetype, hashtag the answer with the hashtag SCG Premium. Again, make sure you're following at SCG Live so we can get the prize over to you guys. And again, we'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our quarterfinal round as we'll head back to the match. Take a look at sideboards. Mr. Nelson has himself 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Ashen Riders, 2 Blood Moons, a Flusterstorm, a Red Elemental Blast, 2 Swan Song, 2 Through the Breach, and 3 copies of Pyroclasm. What do you like?
Well, you definitely have to like the 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage. Robert's list really struggles to do anything of note in the face of this. The 2 copies of Through the Breach as a way to de-emphasize the show and tell plan, which of course is very challenging to execute against Robert. The additional counter spells as well. I think that's where he's going to go.
Other side, you've got 3 Pithy Needle, an Ashen Rider, 1 Spell Pierce, 2 Jace the Mind Sculptor, 2 Duress, 2 Massacre, 2 copies of Show and Tell to go along with the 2 already in the main deck, and then 2 City of Traders to help facilitate that.
So I like the 2 copies of Duress naturally. The Ashen Rider may come in, although not necessarily. I don't know if that's among his better reanimation targets. I think he wants the copies, some number of Pithy Needles, as that's a good way to beat Sneak Attack. And again, Patrick has to get away from Show and Tell a little bit because Robert has so many large creatures of its own. And I think Jace the Mind Sculptor is also in play here, as he's aware that Patrick has additional counterspells, ways to attack the graveyard, and he may want a more normalizing presence in his deck.
As far as Blightsteel Colossus is concerned, some people have chimed in on Twitter saying it is a 1-shot kill through Sneak Attack. Okay. If that does matter. And then it does actually fade Karakas, which the other creatures
Oh, okay,
do.
that's the sort of thing.
These things do make sense. I think in most general applications, Emrakul, the 3rd and 4th copy, that'll probably be better, but at the same time, you can certainly see reasons to play Blightsteel Colossus over it.
If the deck had the ability to tutor for a creature of its choice, I would not question a Blightsteel Colossus.
I agree.
The fact that you don't really get to choose which one you draw makes me skeptical, but Karakas is a good reason.
Patrick Nelson, actually a judge. A lot of people chiming in hoping we would actually have him on camera, and this is actually kind of an accident. Didn't know that he was a judge, but hopefully that we were able to make some people happy at home, get to watch him play. Might not be for long on either side, honestly, because it doesn't take long for Nelson to be able to win, and it doesn't take long for Cucunato either. So
yeah,
I don't think these games are going to take too long here, but I am kind of with you. I think that Reanimator is actually favoring this matchup. Just seems like a full turn faster.
Well, again, the match that I covered of Roberts in Detroit, game 2 went on for a very long time because he has a lot of discard spells that he gets to bring in against Sneak and Show, and if Sneak and Show has Grafdigger's Cage, which it did in the match that I covered, the game can go on for a very long time. And in fact, Robert won game 2 by hard casting a Tidesprout Tyrant. So game 1 is going to be the fastest of the games. The post-board games can still be fast, but both decks are slowing themselves down a little bit to provide a little more interaction.
Yeah. It's never, Reanimator's is an interesting deck because sometimes when we're covering tournaments, it's like a deck makes top 8 and we're like, wow, that's kind of surprising to see this deck. Whenever Reanimator makes top 8, I'm always like, well, it's about time. Like, this deck is so good and so powerful that anytime it makes top 8, I'm not actually surprised or anything.
No, it's really good.
It's just such a good and powerful deck. It's a little bit flimsy, but it's obviously quite powerful. And every time Robert Cucunato plays it, he's always just crushing people.
Legacy is a format that definitely rewards people who play the same deck over and over again.
Yeah.
The games are really complicated, so just knowing what you're up to, being able to identify what your opponent's up to based on the first land they play or the first spell they cast, that's, over the course of a 8 or 9 round tournament, that's just a big deal.
You have to imagine that the reason that he's so aggressive with his approach, too, is because he's played the deck so much. You know, maybe someone who hasn't played it upper picking up for the first time is a little more conservative, trying to bob and weave around dazes and spell pierces and things of that nature. And every time he's just like, forget it, I'm going in. Let's do this. And I like it. I like it. Here's a ponder from Nelson to get game number 2 started.
It looks like his hand's a little light on. I mean, he has quite a few cantrips. It looks like he's a little bit light on things to put into play and a way to get something into play.
Well, he's found a Gristlebrand here off of the ponder. That's step number 1. Now he needs to just find a way to get it into play. However, show and tell is very, very dangerous against the opponent. So Nelson's going to keep with ponder.
It's not even clear if show and tell is in Patrick's deck after sideboard.
Yeah.
He does have access to through the breach and extra counter spells he wants to bring in as well.
You know, the game plan definitely does change here. Cucunato going to play a Lotus Petal and Underground Sea. We have seen this start before. And this is a Pithing Needle.
Probably naming Sneak Attack.
That is probably reserved for that. Let's see, we're going to get confirmation, and it is Sneak Attack. He'll write it down. Going to pass it back. Nelson draws a copy of Brainstorm. Again, he kept with that ponder, so he knows what's coming. Going to play a Volcanic Island, it looks like here, and there that is. Looks like it's time to cast another ponder.
So this is going to really put Patrick to the test here.
Well, he found it through the breach. That's pretty important.
That's a great card.
Where? Wow. Baron Eastrom evens it up against Riley Curran. Death and Taxes and Elves. 1-1.
I had to imagine Aethersworn Canis was involved in that game.
Yeah, hard to think that it wasn't. Seems like the best way to try to win after sideboard. See, Ponder's going to stay again. No shuffles necessary. As you mentioned, a lot of cantrips. 3 copies of Brainstorm, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's already cast multiple ponders. I think Robert may have his 1 copy of Animate Dead in hand.
This is City of Traders here. Going to cast an Entomb.
I mean, he has Animate Dead. I mean,
and Brainstorm in response. See Flusterstorm, one of the cards here that Nelson's looking at. Doesn't look like he has a Force of Will, though. I think he has a Misdirection, but that's not going to do it.
Yeah, that provides nothing here.
Yeah. 2 cards are going to go back. Brainstorm will resolve. Now Entomb's going to resolve. Uh-oh. There's Gristlebrand.
Robert is ruthless.
He does not mess around. It rarely takes him any time to get the job done.
He's doing all of this on the 2nd turn, and there's a needle set to Sneak Attack.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to reanimate, too. Me, oh my. Gonna tap this mana here. He's gonna play Animate Dead with a mana floating. Yeah, give me this. Okay. And he says, I'm gonna draw cards right now.
Animate Dead on the screen. Animate Dead, one of Magic's first and most bizarre reanimation spells.
What are you trying to say? It's just got a little bit of text.
Why does it give -1/-0? Because it's a little bit weak. It just came from the graveyard.
Oh, sure, I understand.
So it's a bit exhausted.
This
it's
will
also
be fun.
Clearly whatever just got reanimated also lost some muscle definition because it's all skeleton. The type line is enchant dead creature.
Yes. Yep.
Any creature in either player's graveyard comes into play on your side with -1 to its original power. If this enchantment is removed or at the end of game, comma, target creature is returned to its owner's graveyard. Target creature may be killed as normal. So it's basically an enchant creature. It can be disenchanted and the creature dies and it gets -1/-0. But it has that just, oh, boo, get out of here.
Yeah, get that new stuff out of here.
Get out of here with the
old.
Enchant dead creature clarifies if the game ends that it's no longer in play, which
Yep.
I really like, in case there was any confusion.
It's from a time many moons ago.
It was from a simpler time, but from a templating standpoint, a more complicated time.
This is true. Cucunato with the Gristlebrand in play. What's he going to do now? He's going to cast Exhume.
It's just not even done.
Yeah. A Brainstorm response? Sure. Going to get the Tidespout Tyrant at the ready, too. He's been a ruthless man over the course of this weekend. So again, 7-0-2 in the Swiss rounds. One game won very quickly. Has already got a Griselbrand in play this game via Animate Dead.
Just hammering on dudes this weekend.
Reanimator doesn't mess around, man.
No.
When it's good, it's really good. I remember, it's crazy to think that this was almost maybe 3 years ago, maybe. I think it was 2 years ago when everyone played at the Invitational in Indianapolis, and it was just kind of the deck to beat at that Grand Prix coming into as well.
Grand Prix Atlanta, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Everyone playing it, everyone going, okay, I guess we need Caracas now in our Reanimator deck to be able to beat opposing Reanimator decks, and things got really crazy and inbred.
Yep. Yeah, the American Legacy Grand Prix scene often has a cool kid club element to it, where someone decides a deck is good and then 30 pros play the same deck.
Are you talking about Alurin?
I am bringing up your Alurin debacle.
Debacle's a bit strong. I think one person may have cashed with that. Scalding Tarn here with the needle.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
You
get no mana.
Won't even let it have mana.
Now this is an attack for 6, not 7.
Yeah.
Animate Dead, weak.
Yeah.
Weaker Griselbrand.
It is a little bit sick.
This actually makes your land a little bit worse because you gain 6 and have to pay 7.
Right. The ratio is not as good. But Robert is making do as best he can.
Just still continue to activate. Bold.
Yeah.
Right now, just putting together the perfect hand. And the needles are set there on Scalding Tarn and Sneak Attack. There goes the City of Traders as Polluted Delta does come into play as the land. Now we'll sacrifice that and search for a land. It's probably going to be an Underground Sea, but we will see what Robert wants to grab.
Yep, no non-basic land hate, unless Patrick has randomly brought in Blood Moons, which you can be pretty safely sure did not happen.
Cucunato going to shuffle up here and present his deck over to Nelson, see what else he's got to do on this particular turn. You'd think he's done enough, but we'll see. Looks like it's time to fire off a Reanimate. He really wants Tidespout Tyrant in play. That's understandable, because once he gets that in play, it's almost impossible to lose.
It's a great insurance policy.
Yep.
Again, even if Patrick is able to slip something through the cracks, Tidespout Tyrant just takes care of it.
Every time I watch Reanimator, too, it's just, when it wins, it's just like, why would anyone play any other deck?
Yeah. The biggest problem that I have with Reanimator is it is sensitive about its life total in a way that many combo decks are not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are trying to go after Reanimate, you're trying to play Griselbrand and use it in the same turn, and all these things come at the cost of your life total.
You see a Ponder and a Lotus Petal got cast. Tidespout Tyrant starts picking up lands, and Robert Cucunato is going to win this match. Patrick Nelson says, no more for me. Reanimator is moving on to the